Before you watch this incredible story unfold, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to see more stories that will touch your heart and restore your faith in destiny. You won't believe what happened when a poor boy noticed a tattoo on a millionaire's wrist. There was a time when the rich and the poor lived in completely separate worlds. They didn't interact. They didn't cross paths. They didn't see each other's humanity. But today, something shocking happened in Sao Paulo, Brazil that would prove that destiny sometimes works in mysterious ways. A wealthy businessman named Carlos Mendes was driving his luxury car through the streets of Sao Paulo. He was on his way to a business meeting at his company's headquarters. Carlos was 58 years old, and he had spent his entire life building an empire. He was a successful man in every way that mattered to the world. He had money, power, and respect. But there was a sadness in his eyes that no amount of wealth could erase. The car pulled up to a red light in an older part of the city. Carlos was looking at his phone, checking emails, when he heard a tapping on the car window. A boy, no more than 12 years old, stood outside the window. He was poorly dressed, his clothes were worn and patched. His shoes had holes in them. His face was dirty, but his eyes were bright and intelligent. "Sir," the boy said through the window, "would you like to buy some flowers?" The boy was holding a bundle of wilted flowers. He was trying to sell them to make money. Carlos rarely even noticed these children. They were part of the landscape of the city, invisible to someone of his status. He was about to shake his head and return to his phone when something made him look more carefully at the boy. The boy was holding out the flowers, and as he did, his sleeve slipped up slightly on his wrist. Carlos saw something that made him freeze. The boy had a tattoo. It was a small tattoo of a bird in flight, with very specific markings. The bird had a line of stars beneath it. Carlos had that exact same tattoo on his wrist. "Wait," Carlos said, rolling down the window. "Come here." The boy approached the window, hopeful that he might make a sale. Carlos held up his wrist. "How did you get this tattoo?" he asked, his voice shaking. The boy looked at the tattoo on Carlos's wrist, then back at his own. His eyes grew wide. "My mother has this tattoo too," the boy said quietly. "She said it was from when she was young. From when she knew someone very important. She said I should never get it removed." Carlos's hands were trembling. He looked at the boy's face more carefully, searching for familiar features. And suddenly, he could see it. He could see something of himself in this child's face. "What is your name?" Carlos asked. "My name is Miguel," the boy said. "And your mother's name?" Carlos asked, barely able to breathe. "Her name is Ana," Miguel said. "Ana Santos." The world seemed to stop moving in that moment. Carlos felt his heart skip a beat. He felt like his entire life had just changed in an instant. "Get in the car," Carlos said. And what happened next would leave everyone who heard about it absolutely speechless. Understanding the characters and the conflict. Carlos Mendes had been born poor, just like the boy Miguel. He grew up in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, in one of the most dangerous and poorest neighborhoods in the city. His parents had nothing. They lived in a small shack with a tin roof that leaked when it rained. They didn't have running water. They didn't have electricity most of the time. But Carlos had been intelligent and ambitious. He had worked hard in school despite the poverty around him. He had gotten a scholarship to a better school, and then to university. He had studied business and engineering, and by his late 20s, he had started his first company. The company grew. He became successful. He became wealthy. He became important. But along the way, Carlos had left something behind. He had left Ana Santos. 30 years ago, when Carlos was 28 years old, he had fallen deeply in love with a woman named Ana. She was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. But more than that, she was kind and intelligent and funny. She made him laugh. She made him feel like he was more than just his circumstances. Ana worked as a teacher in a small school in the neighborhood where Carlos had grown up. She taught poor children, and she did it with all her heart. She believed in them. She invested in them. She saw their potential when nobody else did. Carlos and Ana were going to get married. They had planned their entire life together. They had even gotten matching tattoos, a bird in flight with stars beneath it, representing freedom and hope for the future. They had gotten the tattoos together on a Saturday afternoon, sitting in a small tattoo parlor in the neighborhood. But then Carlos got a job offer from a large company in Sao Paulo. It was an incredible opportunity. It would take him away from everything he knew, but it would also take him towards success and wealth that he had never imagined. Carlos told Anna that he would go to Sao Paulo for 2 years, build his career, make some money, and then come back. He promised her that he would come back and they would get married and build their life together. But the 2 years turned into 5 years. And during those 5 years, Carlos became consumed with building his business. He met other people from wealthy families. They told him that Anna came from a poor background and that she wasn't appropriate for someone of his status. They told him that if he was going to be truly successful, he needed to marry someone from a good family. These messages slowly poisoned Carlos's love for Anna. Or maybe they just gave him an excuse to forget the love that had been real. Carlos stopped calling Anna. He stopped writing letters. He deleted her contact information from his phone. He told himself that he was being practical. He told himself that she would be better off without him. He told himself that love wasn't enough when circumstances were so different. Years passed. Carlos became successful. He built an empire. He married a woman from a wealthy family. They had 2 children together, but the marriage was hollow. They had money but no love. They had status but no genuine connection. Carlos often thought about Anna during these years. He wondered what had happened to her. He wondered if she had moved on. He wondered if she hated him for abandoning her. But he never reached out. It was too late. He had made his choice, and he had to live with it. Then, 30 years later, he saw the boy with the matching tattoo. The deep conflict and relatable problems. Carlos drove the boy to a park. He parked the car and turned to face Miguel directly. "Tell me about your mother," Carlos said gently. Miguel looked confused, but he started to talk. He told Carlos that his mother was a teacher. She worked at a school in a poor neighborhood. She loved her students very much. She was kind and patient and always believed in them. Miguel's words were describing the same Anna that Carlos had known 30 years ago. The same woman who had captured his heart so completely. "Does your mother have a husband?" Carlos asked carefully. Miguel shook his head. "No. It's just me and my mother. My father left when I was a baby. My mother says he was a good man, but he got scared of poverty and he ran away to find a better life. She says he probably doesn't even know I exist." Miguel said this without bitterness, but Carlos felt like the words were daggers in his chest. This boy who might be his son, had been raised by a single mother. His mother had struggled alone for 12 years. "Where does your mother live?" Carlos asked. Miguel gave him the address. It was in a poor neighborhood across the city. Carlos drove there. As they got closer, he started to see the old neighborhood where he had grown up. It looked exactly the same as he remembered it, the same narrow streets, the same small houses, the same signs of poverty everywhere. When they arrived at Anna's house, Carlos's heart was pounding so hard that he thought it might burst through his chest. The house was small, but it was clean and well maintained. There were plants in pots on the porch. There was a small garden in front where someone had tried to grow vegetables. Miguel opened the car door. "Mama," he called out. "Mama, someone is here to see you." The door to the house opened, and Anna came out. She was older now, of course. Her hair had turned gray. Her face had lines that showed she had lived a hard life. But when Carlos saw her, he knew her immediately. He would have known her anywhere. It was Anna. It was the woman he had loved. And 30 years of regret crashed down on him in an instant. Anna came closer to the car, and she saw Carlos through the window. She froze. Her face went pale, just as Carlos's had when he saw the tattoo. "Carlos," she whispered. She recognized him immediately too. Carlos got out of the car slowly. For a moment, neither of them moved. They just stood there looking at each other across 30 years. "Hello, Anna," Carlos said quietly. Anna's eyes filled with tears. "What are you doing here? Why are you with Miguel?" "Your son was selling flowers," Carlos said. "I noticed he had a tattoo. The same tattoo that I have. The same tattoo that we got together." Anna's hand moved to her wrist automatically, as if to cover the tattoo. "Miguel," she said to her son, "go inside the house. Please." Miguel looked confused, but he obeyed. He went inside, leaving Anna and Carlos alone. "I didn't know," Anna said, her voice breaking. "I didn't know he had the tattoo. I showed him mine when he was very small, and I explained what it meant. I told him it represented freedom and hope. I told him that his father and I believed in those things. I didn't know he copied it on his wrist. I didn't know he would carry our symbol with him." "Is he my son?" Carlos asked, though he already knew the answer. Anna nodded. "Yes. He was born 3 months after you stopped calling. I didn't know how to tell you. You had made it clear that you had moved on. You had stopped answering my calls. You had stopped writing. And then I found out I was pregnant. I thought about contacting you, but I was afraid. I was afraid you would reject us. I was afraid you would try to take him from me. I was afraid of many things." Carlos felt tears streaming down his face. "I had a son. I had a son, and I didn't even know he existed." "Yes," Anna said. "And he is a wonderful boy. He is intelligent and kind, and he has a good heart. He wants to be a doctor someday so he can help people in the neighborhood. He is everything I could have hoped for." Carlos looked back at the house where Miguel had gone inside. His son. His son was inside that house. "What is his life like?" Carlos asked. "Tell me everything." Anna sat down on the porch steps, and Carlos sat beside her. She told him about Miguel's birth. She told him about raising him alone, working as a teacher while trying to provide for him. She told him about the struggles they had faced, the times when they didn't have enough money for food, the times when Miguel got sick and they couldn't afford medicine, the times when they almost lost the house because Anna couldn't pay the bills. She told him about Miguel's dreams and his intelligence. She told him about how he sold flowers after school to help pay for his own school supplies. She told him about how kind he was to other children and how he always tried to help people. And through it all, Carlos listened with a heart that was breaking into pieces. "I should have been here," Carlos said. "I should have been here for all of it. I should have known my son. I should have helped you." "Why weren't you?" Anna asked. "Why did you disappear?" Carlos took a long time to answer. He looked down at his hands that had built an empire but had failed to hold on to the most important thing in his life. "I was scared," he said finally. "I was scared that if I stayed, I would never escape poverty. I was scared that loving you meant I had to accept a life of struggle. I was scared that I wasn't good enough for the kind of life I wanted. So I ran away. I told myself it was for the best. I told myself that you would be better off without me. But the truth is, I was just a coward." Anna didn't say anything. She just looked out at the street. "Can I meet him?" Carlos asked. "Can I meet my son?" Anna looked at Carlos for a long time. Then she nodded and stood up. She went inside and brought Miguel out. Miguel looked confused and scared. He didn't understand what was happening. "Miguel," Anna said gently, "this is Carlos. This is your father." Miguel's eyes went wide. He looked at Carlos, then at his mother, then back at Carlos. "You're my father?" Miguel asked quietly. "I always thought you didn't want to know me." "I didn't know you existed," Carlos said, his voice breaking. "If I had known, I would have been here. I promise you, if I had known, I would have been here." Carlos pulled Miguel into his arms and held him. Miguel stood there stiffly at first, then slowly relaxed. He had been without a father his whole life, and now, suddenly, there was one standing in front of him. The moment of justice and transformation. Over the next few weeks, Carlos spent time with Miguel and Anna every single day. He got to know his son. He got to know the woman he had abandoned all those years ago. Miguel was exactly as Anna had described, intelligent, kind, and determined to help others. He asked Carlos many questions about the world. He asked about science and engineering and medicine. He asked about business and how people became successful. Carlos answered all the questions honestly. He also told Miguel the truth about his own life, that wealth had not brought him happiness, that success had not filled the emptiness in his heart, that he had abandoned the people he loved most, and that was his greatest regret. "You made a mistake," Miguel said with the wisdom of a 12-year-old, "but you came back. That means you're a good man." Carlos wasn't sure he was a good man, but he was determined to try to be one now. He talked to Anna about what had happened. He told her that he had been a coward and a fool. He told her that he had wasted 30 years of their lives. And he asked her for forgiveness. "I forgive you," Anna said. "I forgave you a long time ago. I had to forgive you, or the anger would have destroyed me. But I can't pretend that those 30 years didn't happen. I can't pretend that I wasn't hurt. I can't pretend that Miguel didn't grow up without his father." "I know," Carlos said. "And I know that I can't undo the past. But I can be present now. I can be there for Miguel. I can help you. I can try to make up for lost time." Carlos made several decisions that changed everything. First, he transferred a significant portion of his wealth to a trust fund for Miguel. Enough money to pay for his education all the way through medical school if that's what Miguel wanted. Enough money to give Miguel opportunities that his mother's salary could never provide. Second, he helped Anna. He paid off her mortgage on the house. He donated computers and supplies to the school where she taught. He established a scholarship program in her name that would help other poor children get a good education. Third, he changed his own life. He divorced his wife, though it was amicable, and they remained on good terms. He reduced his work at his company and hired a younger person to be the new CEO. He started spending time with Miguel and Anna. And fourth, he made a public declaration. He told his business associates, his employees, and anyone who would listen about Miguel and Anna. He told them that he had abandoned his family for wealth and power, and that it was the biggest mistake of his life. He told them that character and relationships were more important than money and status. Some people criticized him. They said he was being foolish. They said he was abandoning his responsibilities as a businessman. But many other people understood. Many people told him that they respected his decision. Many people told him that his story had inspired them to reconsider their own priorities. Miguel's life changed dramatically. He was able to transfer to a better school. He was able to focus on his studies without worrying about money. He was able to spend time with his father, who taught him about business and science and encouraged his dream of becoming a doctor. But more importantly, Miguel finally had a father. He finally had the thing he had been missing his whole life. A year after Carlos met Miguel, something even more remarkable happened. Miguel was at school, and he was working on a science project. The project involved studying the genetics of inherited traits. Miguel was fascinated by how traits pass from parents to children through DNA. He started asking Carlos questions about his family history. Carlos told him about his parents, about his grandparents, about the family line that stretched back generations. Then Miguel asked about Anna's family. When Carlos asked Anna, she told him something that she had never told anyone before. Anna told him that her mother had gotten pregnant as a young woman, and Anna's father had left. So Anna grew up without a father, just like Miguel did. She said that was why she had always wanted to find someone to build a family with, someone who would stay, someone who would be there. "I wanted to break the cycle," Anna said. "I wanted my child to have the father that I never had." When Miguel heard this, he cried. He understood that his mother had carried so much pain for so long. He understood that his existence was partly her attempt to heal her own childhood wound. "Well," Miguel said, looking at Carlos, "at least now I have a father. And maybe that means the cycle is broken." Carlos held his son and his mother, his family, and they all cried together. Asterisk the lasting impact and life lesson asterisk. The story of Carlos, Anna, and Miguel spread throughout Brazil and beyond. It became a story about love, redemption, and second chances. Carlos used his platform and his wealth to do something extraordinary. He created a foundation dedicated to helping poor families, particularly single mothers and their children. The foundation was called The Bird and the Stars, named after the tattoo that had reunited a family. The foundation provided education scholarships for poor children, financial assistance for single parents, healthcare for families who couldn't afford it, job training and employment assistance. mentorship programs connecting successful people with young people from poor neighborhoods. Within 5 years, the foundation had helped over 10,000 families. It had funded the education of hundreds of children who might otherwise never have gone to school. It had changed lives and given hope to people who had lost it. Miguel grew up to be exactly what he dreamed of becoming, a doctor. But he didn't forget where he came from. After medical school, he went back to his poor neighborhood and opened a free clinic to serve the community. He worked alongside his mother, the teacher, healing the people who had supported her and raised him. Carlos became a different kind of businessman. He used his success not just to make money, but to make a difference. He hired people from poor backgrounds and gave them opportunities. He partnered with schools in poor neighborhoods and helped improve their facilities. He became known not as a ruthless businessman, but as someone who cared about building up the people around him. Anna continued to teach, but now she had support. She had Carlos in her life. She had her son becoming a doctor. She had the satisfaction of knowing that her faith in poor children had been vindicated. Miguel had become a healer, just as she had always believed he could. But the most important thing that happened was something quieter and more personal. Carlos, Anna, and Miguel became a family. Not in the traditional sense, Carlos and Anna didn't get married again. Their relationship had changed too much. But they became a family in the way that matters most. They loved each other, they supported each other, and they built a life together. Carlos brought Anna with him to business events. He introduced her as someone he loved and respected. He told people that she had spent her life teaching poor children, and that made her more important than any billionaire. Miguel wore his tattoo, the bird in flight with the stars beneath it, with pride. He told people that it connected him to his parents and to a heritage of freedom and hope. He told people that the tattoo reminded him that no matter how poor you are or how hard things get, you can still reach for your dreams. 10 years after that first encounter at the red light, Carlos was giving a speech at a university. A journalist asked him, "You had an empire. You had everything. Why did you give it up?" Carlos thought about the question carefully. Then he answered, "I didn't give it up. I changed what I measured as success. I used to measure success by how much money I had and how much power I had. But I learned that those things are empty if you don't have people to share them with. When I met my son at that red light, I was the richest man in the world. But I was also the poorest, because I didn't have the people I loved. My son and his mother, they were poor in money, but they were rich in love and faith and hope. So I didn't really give anything up. I gained everything that actually matters." The story of Carlos, Anna, and Miguel became known around the world as a testament to the power of second chances, the importance of family, and the truth that life is not about what you have, but about who you have it with. Poor children in slums and favelas heard the story and understood that their circumstances did not define their future. They understood that even if their fathers had abandoned them, they could still hope for reunion and redemption. They understood that a person's character was determined by what they did with the chances they were given. Rich people heard the story and began to reconsider their priorities. They began to think about whether their pursuit of wealth was worth the cost of missing out on the people they loved. They began to ask themselves if they were building legacies or just piling up possessions. The tattoo, the bird in flight with the stars beneath it, became a symbol of something bigger than any one family. It became a symbol of freedom, of hope, of the power of love to connect people across time and distance. When Anna passed away 30 years after meeting Carlos again, the entire city mourned. She had spent her entire life teaching poor children and believing in them. She had raised a doctor who healed the poor. She had loved a man who had abandoned her and then found his way back. She had broken generational cycles of poverty and pain. At her funeral, Carlos said, "Anna taught me that the most important thing in the world is not what you achieve or what you own. The most important thing is the love you give and the impact you have on the people around you." Anna lived that truth her entire life. And because she did, her son became a healer, and her courage inspired me to become a better man. The lesson from this story is profound and simple. Never let pride or fear prevent you from going back to the people you love. Never choose success over love. Never allow the pursuit of wealth to cost you the people who matter most. And if you have abandoned someone, know that it is never too late to come back and try to make things right. The story also teaches us something about fate and destiny. Some might say that it was just luck that Carla saw Miguel's tattoo. But perhaps it was something more. Perhaps it was the universe giving them a second chance. Perhaps it was the power of love, so strong that it could reach across 30 years and reunite a family. When Miguel became a doctor, he often worked the night shift at his clinic. On those nights, he would sometimes look at the tattoo on his wrist, the bird in flight, the stars beneath it, and think about his mother and his father. He would think about how they had both loved him enough to overcome tremendous obstacles. He would think about how love was the strongest force in the universe. And that is the real truth of this story. # loudspeaker final call to action. * If this story moved you, please like and subscribe to see more stories about real people, real love, and the power of second chances. Stories about redemption, family, and the truth that it's never too late to change your life and do the right thing. Comment below and tell us, have you ever reconnected with someone you thought was lost forever? Have you ever been given a second chance? Have you ever chosen love over success? We'd love to hear your stories. The real moral of this story is this. Life is not measured by the money you accumulate or the power you gain. Life is measured by the love you give and the impact you have on the people around you. It's measured by whether you show up for the people who matter to you. It's measured by whether you have the courage to admit when you're wrong and the humility to try to make things right. If you have abandoned someone you love, reach out to them today. It may not be too late. If you know someone who needs to hear this story, share it with them. Let them know that second chances are real. Let them know that a symbol as simple as a tattoo can bring families together. Let them know that love is stronger than pride, stronger than fear, stronger than anything the world can throw at us.